Shalom, Kol Halal, Yahweh, Bahasham, Yahushai, Bahasham, Rakaha, Kodash. Double honors unto the apostles, double honors unto the elder bishops. Salutations to all my fellow laborers doing this work in truth and sincerity, risking their lives and their freedom to do so now more so than ever. The would-be judges, the 144,000, and the scattered elect that are scattered around the four corners of the earth, that be like unto the speckled bird, the Israelite foreigners among the heathen nations, that look like those heathen nations, that have the appearance of the heathen. And to the few Akwaf that are listening and learning, to you I say Shalom. This is your brother Malcolm from the branch of the great millstone, coming at you another lesson. And we're living in the last moments of the last days. The last three prophecies, the last three major prophecies are in play. The MOTB, World War III, all right, and Jacob's trouble, which comes along with the collapse of the dollar and silver authority, chaos, insurrections, and uprisings here in America, and you're on the verge of that. And with all that happening, one of the main reasons that that's happening is because of the exposure of Esau Edom, of his corrupt dealings, and the people have been asleep to how wrong they've been, and people are waking up to that fact. Per example, let's go to Cryptic Casey here. All right. And she does a short here about Hitler and the central banking system. All right. Which uses usury. As a matter of fact, here's an AI overview of the word usury. It says, in the King James of the Bible, Proverbs 10:2 states that ill-gotten gains are of no value, while righteousness can save a person from death. All right. And then it gave you other precepts here. Explanation. Proverbs 15:27. Whosoever is greedy for unjust gain brings trouble to his family, but whoever hates the bribes will live. So that's Esau Edom, because the whole nation of Edom is getting ready to suffer horrific loss because of their greed. All right. Proverbs 13:11. Wealth hastily gotten will dwindle, but those who gather little will increase it. Wow. Proverbs 10:10. The rich man's wealth in his strong city is his strong city. The destruction of the poor is their poverty. And that's exactly right. And so we're going to let Casey give you an example of the destruction of the poor and why people are starting to rethink the narrative of Hitler. But here we go.
So when Hitler came into power, his first financial move was what we've seen already throughout history, shifting the country to their own state-issued value-based currency where they did not have to borrow money from private central banks at interest. And guess what happened? Germany's economy quickly turned around and started flourishing, and media called it the German miracle. So once again, Germany became a threat to Great Britain, and their state-issued monetary system was also a threat to private central banks. And I think we're all starting to realize what happens when private central banks are threatened, wars are waged, and people are killed. So when Hitler came into power, with
that last statement of hers,
Hitler came into power, his first financial move was what Hitler came into power.
And they won't let me stop it, so we'll just do this. But that last statement that she made, you know, that was Gaddafi and many others, all right, who tried to peacefully separate from the control of the greenback, and they were labeled terrorists and bad people and all this other stuff. Well, you already know the story. All right. What's his name? The war waged against what's his name? Saddam Hussein. All right. And that whole matter of fact, that whole thing with you know, the 9/11 and the weapons of mass destruction. And then it allowed them to go into Western Asia and wage a war, so that because these people were not using the central banking system, and were in the way of the progress of those who own and run it, follow the money. All right. But let's go to this video now. Colossal economic crash is coming. Now remember, all this takes place. This is what kicks off Jacob's trouble, which I believe is in its beginning stages. All right, but here we go.
Years. And this, we saw very similar echoes of this last year in 2024 when the chair of the Atlanta Fed made very similar comments, warning of pent up exuberance, which was clearly a reference to Alan Greenspan's famous comments. So this was a clear sign from one of the top monetary officials in the US that they're concerned that there's a new bubble. And especially when Trump was elected, the bubble disinflated more and more. And a company like Tesla is a good example of this. Because Tesla, if you actually look at the fundamentals of the company, their price to earnings ratio is off the charts, extremely expensive. So it's not like this company is producing so many cars that justifies having this ridiculous market capitalization of over $1 trillion. Here are a few data points to think about. So in 2021, when Tesla was at another peak of its stock price, it's very similar to today because it's been volatile. It goes up a lot when Elon Musk tweets something crazy and then he says something about, he makes these often false claims about how he's made advancements in robots or something. And then he has some kind of event where a guy comes out in a robot suit and dances. I'm not joking. This is actually what happened with Tesla. Or he claims that, he has some new automated taxi service that doesn't actually work. And then the stock is pumped up and then it falls again. And so we've seen this process. In 2021, there was a study that was done that showed that Tesla's market cap which was over $1 trillion. And it's even higher now than it was then. Back then in 2021, Tesla's market cap was larger than 10 of the world's largest car manufacturers combined. And I pointed out in the analysis that I did that if you look at Toyota, for instance, in 2021, Tesla produced fewer than 1 million cars. Toyota produced more than 10 million cars, so more than 10 times as many cars. And yet Tesla's market cap was more than 4 times the size of Toyota's. Another example is actually BYD. BYD has become the world's leading electric vehicle manufacturer because defenders of Tesla will say, well, you can't compare Tesla to normal car companies because Tesla, as they say, is a technology company. That's what they claim, which, I'm skeptical of that. And considering that Elon Musk actually didn't develop a lot of this technology, he didn't even found Tesla, by the way. It's another, there's so many myths about Tesla.
Yeah, he's a marketer. That's all he is. He's a PR guy.
Very good at marketing. Exactly. So anyway, in the case of BYD, this is a Chinese company that's become the world's leading producer of EVs. And they produce more than twice as many EVs as Tesla. In 2024, they sold more than 4 million EVs. Tesla sold over 1 million. So Tesla's market cap is 12 times the size of BYD's market cap, despite the fact that BYD produces more than twice as many cars. And BYD cars are much better. I've been in BYD cars. I've also been in Tesla because I'm currently speaking to you from China. I came to China to do a PhD, and it's been a great experience. I've learned a lot. And here in Beijing, where I am, at this point, about half of all cars on the road are now electric vehicles because China has taken climate change very seriously and is pushing for EVs and solar panels and all these things. So I've been in a lot.
Now we know that the real reason for pushing for electronic cars is for surveillance and control. The batteries that are used to power these things create more pollution than oil does. All right, that's a fact.
A lot of these taxis,
the residue from the batteries. All right.
There are a lot of taxi drivers who have electric vehicles, and these BYD cars are amazing. They're so cutting edge, state of the art,
trackable.
And yet again, the market cap of Tesla is 12.
Perfect for the beast system, whether it be here in Babylon or over in China.
Times the size. This is completely irrational, and it's not because of the fundamentals of the company. It's because Elon Musk is the CEO, and now that Elon Musk is going to be in the White House, not only in the Trump administration, he's going to have an office in the White House. People are not so jokingly calling him the co-president. Because he is the CEO, we saw that when Trump won the election, Tesla's stock price doubled. And it's not because suddenly Tesla announced that they made a breakthrough in electric vehicles or producing more vehicles. No, it's solely because Elon Musk is going to be in the Trump administration, and they investors expect, understandably, that he'll be given a bunch of sweetheart deals and billions of dollars of subsidies from the U.S. government, which Tesla has been getting many billions of dollars of subsidies, along with other companies like, SpaceX. Elon Musk is one of the biggest welfare recipients in human history.
So there it is, man. So that's the reason. So people think so highly of this man and people like him, but the subsidies, is where the money, and anytime money is generated unrighteously, subsidies are given. It's just like Title 4D child support. People, they give it a name to make it sound like it's a noble clause, but it's just a money grab enforced illegally. And will never stop speaking on it because it's of a foreign nature. It's a foreign treaty out of The Hague. It's not even American. So it's actually illegal to even push it upon Americans. I'm telling you, mention that in court, they'll probably put you out of the courtroom and maybe even stop your case or try to, you get upset and shake up the courtroom by even mentioning it. All right. I know this. All right. But it's of a foreign, that in particular is of a foreign treaty. All right. And it is unconstitutional. Therefore, it is illegal in America to place an American citizen under a foreign treaty. That's a fact that cannot be denied. All right. So they enforce lots of things in America illegally, and a lot of welfare goes to the wealthy, to the super wealthy. And as they're taking away all these goodies from all these wicked Babylonian women, which actually is a good thing. But it is so, it's so hypocritical that they would do that when all this money goes to these billionaires and these countries that just do all manner of wickedness, like the land of Israel. Also a huge welfare recipient. But the funny thing is, when you speak about welfare, you normally what you're seeing is melanated faces. When the truth of the matter is, the biggest welfare recipients are Edomite or so-called white billionaires and different white entities and countries. All right. And as of lately, that would be the Israelis and Ukraine who have actual ties, because you got to remember Ukraine is over in that area near Kiev and Crimea, which is where Khazaria was. And so there's Khazarian blood in both groups, in both people. All right. That would be the connection between the fascism, the Zionism, and the Nazism, that two-sided coin. All right. I just watched a video where someone was speaking on that and how they worked together because they both wanted to get, the people over into the land of Israel out of Germany. And, no one, and people are waking up to that fact now. It's not anti anything. It's actual fact. It's his story. If you look it up, and that's the problem. People don't like to look things up. But let me grab a scripture before we move on. This is Ecclesiastes or Sirach 10:8. And it says, because of unrighteous dealings, injuries, and riches got by deceit, the kingdom is translated from one people to another. All right. Let's go to Isaiah 33, because these are unrighteous decrees that are treacherous. All right, it says, woe to thee that spoilest, and thou was not spoiled, and dealest treacherously, and they dealt not treacherously with thee. When thou shalt cease to spoil, thou shalt be spoiled. And when thou shalt make an end to deal treacherously, they shall deal treacherously with thee. And that's what you're starting to see with the nations putting counter tariffs on America all of a sudden. And the nations are walking away from America and banding together to supersede and get around the Western system, including other Western nations. So what Trump is doing is alienating America and Israel from the rest of the world. All right. That's exactly what they're doing. All right. And it's going to end bad for both the Israelis and for the Americans. So let's shoot this up to the about the 17-minute mark. And we'll let it play for 2 or 3 minutes from there and wrap this up.
Because housing has been turned into a speculative financial asset, a store of value that rich people invest in, not to live in. So you know what the largest landlord is in the U.S.? It's Blackstone, this investment fund in Wall Street. They own more than 300,000 residential housing units. So what's happened is that after the 2008 crash, the U.S. reinflated the real estate bubble, which is even higher now than it was then, and the U.S. engaged in several policies, especially quantitative easing, in which the Federal Reserve literally printed trillions of dollars in order to keep bond yields very low, to keep borrowing costs very low, they kept interest rates at around zero as well. And this meant that financial firms could borrow money for free. Because if you have inflation, annual inflation of around 2%, and yet interest rates are 0%, and you're borrowing a loan at 1%, you're basically making money by borrowing money.
You're making money by borrowing money, so they make it easy for the wealthier to get wealthier and the poor not to have a chance. Right? So, you know, I want to borrow money so I can open up my own brick and mortar school. All right? And I can't get it. All right, but yet they'll give money to the already wealthy and rich, you know, and they actually make more money. So the system is actually designed to keep and it's working out perfectly because they pretty much annihilated the middle class in America. So they want two classes of people. They want the have and the have-nots. You're going to either be the wealthy or you're going to be the working poor, because that's what working people are fastly becoming, or many of them are already. They're the working poor. I mean, how many hundreds or even thousands at this point of videos where you see where people giving testimonies, how some of them even make six-figure between the husband and wife, or even alone, and yet they can barely make ends meet now. All right? Or you got people that are making $70,000, $80,000 and they're living in a one-bedroom, or some people even living in that car. You know, they get up and they go to the gym and work out, and they shower and clean up at the gym, and then they sleep in their car at night. That's happening all over California. So these people, these unrighteous decrees are hurting people. All right?
Because inflation is larger than the interest rate you're paying. And we saw, for instance, oligarchs like, Silicon Valley Bank, which collapsed. We saw, for instance, they gave these mortgage loans to people like Mark Zuckerberg. He got a mortgage loan for like 1% interest.
Wow.
I mean, it's just free money, right? So in this free money era, you had all of these companies, financial companies and big tech companies, were just borrowing money hands over fist and just inflating their stock. And
inflating the stock and making themselves richer and making the poor poor. Isaiah 10:1, woe to them that decree unrighteous decrees and that write grievances which they have prescribed, to turn aside the needy from judgment, and to take away the right from the poor of my people, and widows may be their prey, and that they may rob the fatherless. So these people just make life impossible for Jake. They don't want us to have the time or the ability to have autonomous wealth, or to be able to autonomously be financially. You don't even have to be wealthy; just be, financially to a position financially where you can actually support yourself from your family, and then leave something behind for them to do the same, to carry it on. They're eliminating it. They're taking that away because of their wickedness, which is why their system is failing. Because this guy, I've never seen this guy before, but this is becoming the conversation of everyday people, which means they got to shut down this internet. They got to shut off anything that tells the truth that's not their narrative, has to be eliminated. And that's what they're doing. All right, because now their system is exposed, because secrecy has been their biggest strength, which we'll wrap this up. This is Isaiah 29:15. It says, woe to them that seek deep to hide their counsel from Yahweh, and their works are in the dark, and they say, who seeth us and who knoweth us? So, in secret, they shoot at the poor, mainly the Israelites, and prevent you from having autonomous wealth, and keep you in these classes that they have created for you. All right, because they are the wicked. And Thawadi Yahweh, their time is up, which is why we even know these things. So with that, I hope this was an informative lesson where you learned some things. Call halal Yahweh Bashim Nawashai Bahashem Rakaha Kwadash Kwam Yasharala Abad Babal.